you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How are you?
All right. I just say that it's chaos all throughout the world, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that we need something to bring it down. What do you think?
That's right. Reach your calm inner place.
Well, you know what? Last week we had some popping shows, about art, visual art, man.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, what about sound?
The vocal artists.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that what about opera?
I think it's an appropriate time for us to have a night at the opera, and we have a stellar lineup to join us on the show. So.
Well, I did tell you that, a classmate of mine at Columbia University, Leah Hawkins Barber, had just mentioned that her niece is in this opera at the Met called X, about Malcolm X. And, with me being on the board of the Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz Center, I said, we got to have her on Soul Lounge Primetime. What do you think, man?
I think let's bring her on. Leah Hawkins, welcome to Soul Lounge Primetime.
Hello, and thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. No, Leah, you think I could face your aunt and not have you on? Please.
No, you could not.
Okay. There you go. I also understand, Leah, that you brought one of the co-stars there who's playing the part there of Elijah Muhammad, and that can only be Victor Robertson. Bring him up.
All right.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, Victor.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Assalamu salam, man.
Well, I gotta say that now that I'm Elijah for the next 2 months. I gotta say I gotta greet everybody like that.
Absolutely. And NightWatchman, we have some others, because like we gotta, as they say, packed house. We gotta bring them out here. You know what? I'm thinking, as a matter of fact, we gotta bring up, of course, Brandie Sutton. Bring her up.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hey,
how are you?
How you doing?
I'm great. Fabulous.
All right. And then, of course, it would not be complete without the one, the only, Joseph Parrish.
Joseph. Hey, everybody. Good to be here. Good to see you all.
All right. So NightWatchman, this show is taking a little different turn than our normal thing. You're going to be on, as they say, on the ones and twos. So you'll be doing the highlights. Okay. How's that?
I got it.
All right. There you go. So, let's start it off. So normally, and I'm thinking about music, I'm not necessarily thinking, as an African-American male who grew up here in this country, I'm not necessarily thinking about opera. So Leah, please, you got to tell me the journey.
The journey for me in opera?
Yes.
So I started voice lessons when I was 12 years old. And prior to that, I had always been the singer in my family. I've never done anything else. I've never even had a job outside of singing. And I saw my first opera in 6th grade at 12 years old and went home to my parents and said, that's what I want to do. I need to learn how to be an opera singer. And so from then I went to an arts high school, and then I went to Morgan State University, go Bears, for my graduate degree. And then I went to Yale for my master's. And then from there, the sort of in America, the next step is to do a young artist program. And so I did the young artist or residency program at Washington National Opera first. And then I finished that program and did the program at the Metropolitan Opera. I did the Lindemann Young Artist Development Program there. And so that was 3 years ago. And now I am fully into the freelance career.
Excellent. Victor, do tell.
Oh my God. Well, my journey is a little different from Leah's. I went to school for tennis, so I had a
tennis.
Play. Yep.
Is that why you have your baseball cap turned backwards? Is that it? But go ahead.
And I'm having a bad hair day, but tennis. But I always was singing on the side, but I got burnt out on tennis, so I started singing. So I went to Georgia State University and enrolled in their voice program. And somehow got into a young artist department, even though I did not have a music degree. I kind of skipped a few steps. And Peyton Hibbett, the legendary Peyton Hibbett at Tri-Cities Opera in New York, took me under his wing and showed me how to really how to unravel a score, how to learn a score. And from then on, I mean, things just happened one after another, and I never thought I'd be an opera singer. I was always Korea. I've seen the world 40 times over. So it's been amazing.
Excellent, excellent. Brandie, do tell us
Yes.
your journey.
Oh man. So I grew up around music. I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, which is where Oakwood University is.
Yes.
And at the time it was Oakwood College. So I went to Oakwood Elementary, Oakwood Academy, and then Oakwood College. And then it changed to Oakwood University while I was a student there. But I grew up listening to the Aeolians, which was their traveling choir. And I always wanted to be a part of the choir until I got to college and decided against it. And I was a biology major for a year and a half.
Wow.
And I started taking voice lessons because I auditioned to be part of the Aeolians maybe a year after, because my mother threatened to take away my car if I didn't audition. So, and when I auditioned, I didn't get in. So I started taking voice lessons, and my voice teacher was like, you need to drop biology and you need to do music. And I'm like, how is that going to put food on the table? I had no idea, because I hadn't seen my first opera, until she took me, maybe my sophomore year in college. So I wasn't really exposed to it, but I was exposed to classical singing because I grew up listening to the Aeolians. Nice. So I ended up changing my major, still finished in 4 years, got my master's at Catholic University in DC. I auditioned for several young artist programs, and I didn't get into any. It was very hard, actually, for me, because I had to kind of find my way with new ideas. But the Black church kept me alive.
Nice. Amen.
And eventually I got into Martina Arroyo's summer program, which was kind of a catapult for me. And then I got my manager from that and met other people just by word of mouth, heard of me, and just started hiring me for freelance opportunities. So
excellent. Well, Joseph, you're up, baby. Tell us.
Yeah. So nice to hear everybody's story. So I started off actually as a drummer. My father was a pastor, and I grew up playing drums in church. And it wasn't until I was about 15 we moved to Baltimore, and I had to figure out what high school I was going to. They have a high school down there called Baltimore School for the Arts, and there were no spots left for drumming. So my aunt, who I just did a recital with, actually coached me to prepare for this audition. It was a late audition. I got in, and I really credit this school with showing me classical music. And not only that, but there were so many teachers of color. I got to see people who look like me doing this at the highest level. So then from there, I went to University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music, got my Bachelor of Music, went to Juilliard for my master's, and I'm still there in their artist diploma opera studies program, and recently won a competition for management. So I'm sort of juggling school with freelance opportunities, trying to soak up those last little bits of education while it's free. But that's sort of what it's been like for me in a nutshell.
Excellent. So you know what, and Joseph, one of the things, the school that you mentioned, is that the same school that Tupac attended?
Tupac and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Don't mention her name.
Yeah.
you can't make this stuff up.
Well, hopefully you have less drama going on for you.
I that's what I'm shooting for.
Absolutely. So Leah, I told you about my service there at the Malcolm X Betty Shabazz Center. So do tell me, you got to tell me X
is coming. X is here at the Met. So we open next Friday, November 3rd. We started rehearsals, Victor, about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah.
And we are bringing Malcolm X's story to the Metropolitan Opera. And there's a bit of Afrofuturism in the story. We are directed by a Black man, one of the very few Black people to ever direct at the Metropolitan Opera. Our composer is only the second Black composer ever at the Metropolitan Opera.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a Black conductor. He's one of very few as well. So it's a very it's a landmark undertaking for many reasons, and I get to be a small part of it by singing Louise Little, his mother, and Betty Chapaz, his wife.
Yes.
And we only get glimpses of these women, and so I'm hoping that my portrayal shows them in a correct light. But it's an absolute honor to bring the story to that stage. I wonder in my heart how he would feel about being on that stage.
Yes.
If he would agree to have him to be on that stage. But I hope that we do his memory justice. Yeah.
Excellent. And Victor as Elijah Muhammad. That's also, because remember, this is literally the probably one of the most formative things that caused Malcolm to go into that path, because looking up to him as a father and mentor while he was incarcerated and reading his writings and works. So do tell me, what do you feel in terms of your portrayal? What it's going to bring?
I play two characters. I play Street. Street is the first character I play, which is really an amalgamation of all the hustlers and people who really got him knowledgeable about Boston and the street and how to make it. And then I play Elijah. So basically, he was hustled by two prominent figures that way. But Elijah's a complex character. I mean, he's from Georgia. I'm from Georgia. He has folks from Trinidad. I have folks from Trinidad. I feel like I understand his path. He migrated with his family in the 40s from Georgia to Milwaukee. And then he made his way to Chicago. And somehow he became the leader of the Nation of Islam. And his path is quite remarkable, but he never was as charismatic as Malcolm. And he saw in him, I mean, how could you not? Malcolm is a 1 in a billion personality legend. And he kept, we're writing with him letters in prison. And he says, when this guy is released, he's going to be our spokesman. And I think it's amazing the journey that they had together, relatively brief. But he had such an influence on Malcolm. Malcolm would have died for this guy. And for it to turn the way it did is really sad. And I'm watching a documentary right now on Netflix called Blood Brothers, where it talks about the triangular relationship between Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Elijah Muhammad. And I'm at the point now where Elijah tells even Muhammad not to be around Malcolm because he's kind of
pariah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's so sad. I think that's so sad because I grew up absolutely just adoring Malcolm X, and I would listen to his speeches all the time, and I just could not. I can't believe I'm actually playing Elijah Muhammad because Malcolm meant so much to me. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. And Brandie. And tell me about with you and your works any particular role that really kind of like spoke to you that, like, what, I am totally immersing myself in this character.
Oh man. Recently I just sang the role of Trumanisha, and it was a reimagined version where Damian Sneed and Karen Chilton bookended the opera and told the story of Scott Joplin and his wife, Freddie Alexander, who was his muse for Trumanisha. Because it's very rare that you see at that time a woman in power in an opera, because it was always men who were pushed to the forefront. But he pushed a woman as the leader. And so the role I played was Trumanisha and Freddie Alexander. And Freddie, who was sick, 2 months after they were married, she passed away while they were actually, she was traveling with him, and he was doing some recitals near St. Louis. And so that's actually where we did the show. And I feel like that has been the one really, because most of the characters I've played have usually been like, these fairy tale characters, always tragic, but not real people. Freddie Alexander was kind of the first person that I played that I could really relate to.
Nice.
And really immerse myself and say, how can I tell this woman's story that's not here to tell it anymore, and do that accurately.
Excellent. And I have to then ask you, Joseph, in terms of the competition in Brussels. Tell me about that. And also, I guess before you even tell me about that, also a character that may have spoken to you.
Sure. So a character in the same vein as what everybody's been talking about is a gentleman named Derek Wheat. In 2018, I participated in a workshop and then later an opera of an opera called Blind Injustice. It was in Cincinnati, the same company that I met Victor through. But this opera entitled Blind Injustice sort of looked at the stories of 6 people who were tried and convicted of crimes that they didn't commit, and they were later exonerated due to the work of the Ohio Innocence Project. And one of those people was a man named Derek Wheat. He was in a group that was sort of known as the East Cleveland Three. There were 3 teenagers who were wrongly convicted of murder, and he had to serve jail time. And this opera was being written. And we had like a workshop phase when you have operas that are being written, and really any work before they go up on the stage of whatever opera house is presenting them. Usually you'll have a more informal performance of the music to sort of be like, all right, this is where we're at, this is what it sounds like, invited audience sort of thing. He was there with his wife and kid, and I was like singing. I was singing the words that he spoke in the interview that was the source material for this in front of him. So it was an experience that I never would have thought opera would give me, to be able to learn about somebody who was at that time my age or younger, who had to deal with something that I can't imagine, but that it was just an awesome moment. And then to meet him and to see his smile, and like to be like, yo, I'm so happy, like I love singing this music. He's like, I'm on this stage. It was just really a surreal moment. So that's a role that sticks out for me. To continue on to the competition in Brussels, it was the Queen Elizabeth voice competition, and that was the first time I had been to Europe. So it was cool. It was a really nice time. It's a big, well-known competition, and it was my introduction to not only other singers and sort of singing in a new country, but a new culture. It was my introduction to the way that people lived in Europe. I stayed with a wonderful host family, 2 people named Regine and Michel. Every morning we would have breakfast at 8:00. I remember when I got over my jet lag, I came down there at like 8:40, and I was hoping they wouldn't be there. But like the nice people they are, they were sitting at the breakfast table with their plates with crumbs and just waiting for me to come downstairs. Needless to say, I wasn't late. I tried not to be late for breakfast ever again. The competition was great. I mean, they broadcast it on the radio. I made it to the semifinal round, and that round is on national television. So it kind of felt like classical music in the States and opera is still a little bit taboo. You tell somebody you're an opera singer and they're like, oh, wow, oh, interesting. It's a bit more common there. And it's a bit more ingrained into, the culture of not old people. They're young people who go to see these concerts. And the whole competition was really wonderful. The Queen of Belgium was there, sitting front row, so I got to sing for her. The jury was comprised of people that I listened to on Apple Music, one of which a Belgian-based baritone named José Van Dam. He was sitting right in front of me, so I got to sing a song that I had learned that he recorded for him. So a lot of full circle moments.
Beautiful. Oh man, you know what? One of the things I got to say, okay, are you guys purist in terms of I can't listen to anything but just opera? Or thank you. Okay, so Leah, and especially you, because NightWatchman and I, we love the sound of Philadelphia. Okay. Okay, so do tell us now, were you not pulled by some who's it, Hall and Oates and some the sound of Philadelphia with McFadden and Whitehead? So tell us do you do any popular music?
I grew up singing more popular music. I wanted to be the next Whitney Houston. But I'm also from Philadelphia, so the neo soul movement, all those artists.
That's right. It came out of Philly. That's right.
Came out of Philly. So that's the music that I go to after a long day. I'm not turning on opera after a long day. I'm probably not turning it on very much at all, except if I'm referencing it for something, if I'm learning something. Sometimes you just get a piece in your head and you have to hear it. But no, I go back to my roots. That's my parents didn't play opera in the house. They don't play opera in the house now. So, they don't even go to opera unless I'm in it. So no, I'm very much still connected to those roots.
Got you. Victor, tell me about, especially coming up from Georgia. What's the music that you listen to when you're just chilling, man?
Oh man, I grew up. I was in R&B bands and rock bands, so I talked to a lot of those guys. But like, I did a group called Three Mo Tenors for a long time. For about 10 years, I was part of Three Mo Tenors, and that show did opera, jazz, spiritual, Broadway, R&B. So it covered a lot, and it really kind of it made me really happy because and usually people of our color play in the classical world. We're really diverse musically, and we can sing all styles of music. So Three Mo Tenors was right up our alley, and so I got to really scratch that itch. But I don't listen. I'll listen to symphonic music more than I listen to opera. I'd rather go and just see an opera and hear them live. But what's so great in the past 5 years, 6 years, so many wonderful operas that kind of a hybrid have been written, like Castor and Patience out of Cincinnati. That was written. That's kind of like a opera / musical theater. More people can relate to it more. Has subjects that are germane to our experience, like Malcolm X, like Central Park 5. Like it's just I've done I Dream. I've done like 6 or 7 operas in the past 5 years that I don't want to go back now to doing the bel canto Italian operas. Because I just love doing subject matter that's more germane to what we experience, especially since the pandemic. I don't want to do any more Barbara Sevilles or La Bohèmes, even though it's genius work. It's genius work. But I would rather do the Malcolm X's now.
Gotcha.
So Victor, before we started, we talked a little bit about the journey of this particular X performance and some of the other companies that had done it before it has come here to the Met. Can you just give us a little bit of that background and also talk to us about the recording as well?
Well, it was right before the pandemic. The Detroit Opera was in collaboration with Opera Omaha about doing Malcolm X. Now, Malcolm X lived in Omaha. He was raised in Omaha, and then he moved to Boston, and then he went to Detroit. So all these cities, like these two cities, had an amazing influence on Malcolm X and vice versa. So they said, okay, we're going to do this project. And then the Seattle Opera jumped on. Chicago Lyric jumped on, and finally the Met jumped on. Said we want to be a part of this too. So they all take the same production that you see. If you come to the Met and see the production, it's going to be the same production that was in Omaha, that was in Detroit. Last year at this time, May 14th, we did opening night in Detroit to a packed house, and the Nation of Islam came. It was a huge experience, a wonderful experience to meet Farrakhan. But so it's at the Met now. It's going to be at Seattle next year, and then Chicago later. And in between the Detroit and the Omaha shows, Boston did a recording which was nominated for a Grammy. Had nothing to do with the collaboration of the other cities. It was separate. It was so good. It was such a good recording. It was nominated for a Grammy. So we're really excited about that. And the Met is doing an HD production of this as well. So maybe that'll get nominated.
Okay. And Brandie, being a mother with a young son, right? Around the house, what music are you playing?
Oh. I'm kind of a hodgepodge. I like to expose him to everything.
Okay.
So, and I don't know. I guess there'd probably be some moms that would be like, I would never let my child listen. But we have Kendrick Lamar playing.
Okay.
We also have Michael Bublé playing. Evanescence, which is a heavy metal group. And then I have, or they're not really heavy metal, they're more rock and roll. And then I have gospel playing. I commissioned Take Six, Karen Clark.
Oh, yes.
So I expose him to everything, and I listen to everything. And like Leah, I listen to opera when I have to learn music, which is a lot because I'm always having to learn music. So we have a equal spread of everything. So,
gotcha. Okay, and then you knew I was coming to you, Joseph. You knew that.
Yeah. I grew up listening to a lot of Parliament. I love people.
Oh, whoa!
My dad would play it in the car. A lot of Parliament, a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh yes.
I'm because of my age. I love Drake. I can't. I can't lie. Old Kanye. I know it's kind of Kanye been.
No, but you said it right. You said old Kanye.
Old Kanye.
Yeah. Everybody loves old Kanye.
We had that in the car going all day and night. So those are sort of the I love Late Registration just as an album. Parliament. They could really do no wrong. Bop Gun is one of my favorite songs I think ever.
Yeah, we talking here.
Yeah. And I've been getting into James Brown too. A lot of kind of the slow, that like nice. You find that pocket, but it's like a slow groove.
Absolutely. And you couldn't stand still. You couldn't stand still for that. No.
You can't. And it also, I'm a drummer. I'm a drummer at heart. That was my first love.
Oh, wow.
So you think of James Brown, like Michael Jackson.
Yes.
And all of that stuff with a nice pocket and a nice bass. Bootsy Collins. I love funk music. I love funk music.
NightWatchman, I do believe that we have an old soul.
Old soul, yeah. Funny, I ran across a YouTube video of James Brown, BB King, and Bobby Blue Bland together on Soul Train. Oh my goodness.
That must have been crazy.
You all need to look that one up and play it when you get a chance. Just because it's masters, and I know the common denominator you all have is a level of excellence and love for music, and that's why it crossed so many genres. And when you hear somebody with mastery, just and those three just cutting it up, having James Brown singing blues with them, and Bobby Blue Bland singing a blues version of Papa Got a Brand New Bag, and they're just cutting it, and Lucille is up in there. It's just, It feeds our soul, you know.
Yeah,
It feeds our soul, and that, I guess that's the appreciation I have for all of you and what you're doing, because it, you know, whether it's in opera, whether it's gospel, whether it's spiritual, whether it's rock and roll, whether it's funk, when it hits you, it just feeds your soul, you know.
Yes, exactly. So NightWatchman, you got control, you know that, all right?
Yes, okay. I do.
There you go. Now I have to go back to Leah here, and I have to also say this. Okay, Philadelphia, no doubt about it. It is something that we talk about when we talk about the big cities. We talk about that are also part of that migration that we all know about. And we think about then opera. Now, because I know we had a little off camera discussion about one of the things in terms of Marian Anderson and her performance in front of the White House. Was that also something that kind of like spoke to you?
Oh, of course. Her performance in front of the Lincoln Memorial.
Lincoln Memorial. I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
That I had, you know, as Philadelphian, I had to be right because she is the one of the crown jewels of the city. And if you're a musician in the city, if you're anyone in the city of Philadelphia, you know Marian Anderson. And, so especially I was a singer and I was getting into opera. That was one of the first people that I was asked about and that I was told about.
Wow.
Having that connection. And then actually earlier this year I won the Marian Anderson Award.
Yeah.
So that for me as a Philadelphian was like, is the highest honor for me because of what she represents to my city and to my art form. Yeah.
Wow. You didn't do that run up the steps like Rocky, did you? When you did it?
I have walked up those steps.
Excellent. And now, who was that? What were you there at the Kennedy Center as well, doing something performance, or was that something that you were preparing for? Because I was looking through the bio and I saw something related to the Kennedy Center. Tell me about that.
Me? Well, so yeah. I was a part of the Young Artist Program at Washington National Opera.
So that's why. Okay, go ahead.
The Kennedy Center. So I've sung in every single space in the Kennedy Center, every hall in there I've sung in. Yeah. Nice. So it's like a home place for me, actually. Yeah.
All right, beautiful. And Victor. So in terms of you now, well, actually, I this can go for all of y'all. You'll have the chance. So now you've, of course, done some rock. You've done the three tenors, whatnot. So if there's a particular gig and the music speaks to you, you will do it.
Well, if my voice is appropriate, then of course. But I mean, there's nothing worse than trying to hear opera singers sing pop music, and there's nothing worse than pop singers. So I think I can do both pretty damn well.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of like this whole year has been amazing. I just did the soundtrack for Rustin, Bayard Rustin. It's on Netflix. I just Branford Marsalis and I and Sting did a song or two for the soundtrack, and so I'm getting opportunities like that. Again, Malcolm X that did really well and was nominated for Grammy. And so like projects are coming up, you know, and it's really good when people are exposed to opera singers who can sing obviously classical, but their voice has a style that lends itself to other music as well. So that opens up a lot of opportunities. You get a lot of studio work, a lot of commercials, and so it's been an amazing few years actually.
Excellent. And Brandie, knowing let me see the history, because I think I was at one point involved with a woman who ended up going to Oakwood. And is Oakwood also a Seventh-day Adventist college?
It is.
Indeed. So now, were there any, let's say, genres of music that was off limits?
Yeah.
Like most of them?
Opera.
Well, yeah.
Honestly, I had kind of, you know, when I first started, having a love for opera, I went into the library because, Ellen G. White is their prophetess for the religion, and a lot of her writings are what they follow. And
Right.
she blatantly spoke against opera.
Wow, interesting. Because I'm thinking about the European classical type of genre, also then of course that being brought to America, but opera no less. So did they point to certain specific things in opera? What?
So I think it was more so just the stories, because not all of them are, Christ centered. And
Gotcha.
it's always tragedy and some sort of drama. So it was always kind of, and really most people in the church don't really look at it, because we have a music department that teaches opera.
Yes.
So I don't even know that someone went back and looked and checked this thing and said, oh, maybe we should make this a thing. So most people don't really, subscribe to that. Opera is not a great thing or something you should do. I think it's more so if you have to perform or have rehearsals on the Sabbath, then that would be more of an issue. Okay. But for me, it's an individual thing. It wasn't something that, once I moved to New York and I tried to audition for a show, and I'm being very transparent. I had got a call back, and they wanted to hire me, and I asked them, well, if I can't perform or rehearse on Friday nights or on Saturdays, because sundown Friday to sundown Saturday is the Sabbath, is there some sort of provision that could be made for me? And she immediately was like, oh no, I'm sorry. Probably nothing we can do about that. I'm sorry, it won't work this time. And I just got so upset, because, I would much rather feel like I stood up for what I believed in. I did what is right, because all the stories were, if you do this, God's going to make a way for you. And I didn't feel like that was happening based on my decision. So I was like, stupid Sabbath. I can't do what I want to do. And that made me start questioning a lot of things at that point, because it was like, I don't want to feel like I'm upset about the Sabbath, but I want to feel good about the decision that I made. And so I really started reevaluating some things, because now I'm older and now I can research a lot of things for myself. And it's not just what mommy and daddy say, but now I'm being exposed to many other perspectives. So that's kind of what helped me actually, I think, branch off more. And I even know some Adventist opera singers who came before me, who I would speak to and ask them, what did you do? How did you make this work? And a lot of them didn't have careers. And some of them even said, I'm not even going to try because of this.
Wow.
Janice Chandler at Time, I remember she spoke to me and she said, if I had to do it all over again, there would be some changes I would make. And she said, I hope you go on to do all the things that I didn't do.
Yeah.
And so even now to this day, I still wrestle with a lot of it, in the career, but I feel good about the decisions that I make, and in making sure that I have opportunities to be heard. And, because you never know when somebody hears you, how you can change their life. And I don't want, a religious belief to stop me from possibly saving someone's life.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. This is very good, very good. You know what? I also with let's say Joseph, because you also coming from the church, because you were playing drums in the church, and I'm thinking, was it Baptist? Because I can certainly tell my story of having been in Pentecostal. Now that's very, very strict on a number of things, dance, whatever. You can't do that stuff. So tell me about you and any music that was off limits to you, Joseph, in your journey.
Like Parliament Funkadelic, maybe.
Good one, NightWatchman. But I think you might be having some streaming difficulties.
Yeah.
See that? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So then, Leah, you mentioned church in your background.
So I did not have a traditional Christian upbringing, like many of my colleagues.
Okay.
And so my father converted as an adult. He became a Hebrew Israelite Jew.
Oh, get
And
out.
also,
Woo, okay.
so very different because my aunt, who you know, is very Christian. And that's the way they were raised. But he converted as an adult. He never felt connected to Christianity. And so it was the way I was raised. Saturday was my Sabbath. That's why I always connected with the SDA folks. I didn't grow up eating pork. I didn't eat shellfish. Now I don't eat meat at all, like the SDAs. But no, it's I had a very different childhood in that way. But going to Morgan State and meeting a lot of singers, I sort of got the church education much later. So there was no music in my house that was like off limits. There was I could listen to anything. In the summers we listened to it was Channel 60, The Box. Do you remember The Box?
The video music box?
Yes.
Oh my Lord.
All day long. Any and everything. My sister and I would reenact that the I Miss You video where the woman would be in the hospital, she would be dying. And reviving her. So I would be the doctor, and my sister would be the woman being revived. So it was nothing.
Yeah. Wow. NightWatchman, this is live, buddy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So we got Joseph back. We can ask him that question now.
Yes, Joseph, how you doing, buddy? How's your stuff now?
I'm better. I think we're all good.
All right. So you're going to tell us, because we were talking about, let's say, the church. So in the church, were you raised Baptist, Pentecostal, what?
Yeah, I was raised Baptist.
Okay.
So let me real quick. So my father is a pastor. My mom was pastoring when I was born. My mother's mother has been a pastor. My father's father was a pastor.
Wow.
Both of my mom's brothers are pastors. So I come from a
yes, you do.
lineage of clerical folk.
Indeed.
And my parents, I love them and I thank them because they were not so fire and brimstone to take all the joy out of my life. So when I first started drumming in church, it was like I want to play some Carlos Santana. But of course that didn't quite fit in with the message of the service. But things weren't off limits, and they were very my parents and the church family very supportive of me finding classical music. I would sing spirituals in church. I would sing non secular, but pieces that might seem fitting for a church service in church. So they were religiously and otherwise quite encouraging.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So NightWatchman, how you doing over there, buddy?
I'm fine.
I guess nothing was off limits to you in terms of music, huh?
Me? Well, I mean, look, growing up, my parents were very religious too, but I grew up in an era where I knew certain records I listened to on headphones. So it wasn't so much the music; it was those Richard Pryor records that I knew that could cause a problem.
You did go there. So literally, Joseph, when did suddenly Parliament Funkadelic come on the scene for you? Were you still in church?
That was not in church, but maybe on the ride home from church. We would, my dad is a big funk fan, and my mom is from Detroit, so she grew up in Motown. So I was surrounded, and when you think of an artist like Aretha Franklin, she, in my eyes, is a huge crossover musician because she got her upbringing in the church, and then she was kind of like R&B, but James Cleveland was doing the arrangements for her in the choir. So there was a healthy mix of Richard Smallwood and soulful celebration my dad's a big fan of Al Jarreau, and
Oh
my mom
yes.
would listen to I forget his first name, but an English composer, Carol of the Bells. She went to Cass Tech High School and was in a program called Harp and Vocal, where you either had to play the harp or play the vocals. And so I think that my musical background was quite diverse, and you know, at all the family reunions, we'd listen to Flashlight, and we'd listening to you know, Bop Gun and
Yes.
September and Kalimba's Story. I think it's Kalimba's Story. After the Love Is Gone, and singing those songs in the car. So it was just folded into my musical education, and then of course the church music, a lot of gospel music, rich, you know, wonderful choirs in the churches that I grew up in. And my dad was in the Glee Club. He was president of the Glee Club in Morehouse. My mom, you know, sang in the choir at church. So they are both lovers and aficionados, really, of religious choral music that is not just Baptist church music.
Gotcha. And you know what? I guess for all of you guys, because certainly, you know, as a young, let's say, African-American person growing up, do you sometimes see your role as being ambassadors to this art form? Leah?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like it's my duty. And I feel like what I'm doing as a singer, I feel like opera is my sort of gateway to other things. Opera has taken me around the world. It has taken me around the country. It has allowed me to sing on these stages. But I think opera for me is encouraging people to follow their dreams. And that sounds so corny. That sounds super corny. But me pursuing it and me doing it is telling someone you can do it. You can do it with fear and through fear. And there's no reason why anything should stop you from doing what you love. Because for me, there are bumps in the road. We all know, we've all experienced them. I've traveled abroad and been treated with racism. I've been in this country with racism, whatever. But
do tell, Leah, they did not expect to see you performing this particular, let's say, song in their language. What? Tell me.
Usually when you're performing, you're treated like differently. Okay. It's when I'm out and about in certain places that I'm treated, when they don't know that I'm a singer and they don't know what I've done. That's when the treatment can sometimes change. And also I'm a big dark-skinned woman. I'm actually more African presenting, and Africans abroad are not treated well, which I found out.
That's true.
When I lived in Munich for about 7 months.
Wow.
But those experiences happen. They're a thing. I have blinders on because that will not stop me from what I feel is my duty as an artist.
Excellent. Oh man, and Victor, tell us about you. Do you also see your role as an ambassador, or let's say some of the folks that you might have performed with before they knew your opera band, let's say your R&B band, and they maybe come to see your operatic performance? What has been their reaction?
They're blown away. They can't even comprehend what the hell I'm doing with my life. What God's name did you get into? But I mean, it kind of made sense. I was a tennis player, so.
Yes. NightWatchman. We got a little freeze there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's back.
You're back. Okay. Go ahead. You were talking about being a tennis player, and go ahead.
It's an easy transition from that to being an opera singer, believe it or not, because it's a solitary study. You don't rely on a team, and it really is. You got to find the best coach you can, somebody you believe in, somebody, that's really the key. If you're going to be a singer, if you're going to be a classical singer, you got to get a team around you that you trust, that you believe in, and someone who can tell you that you suck. Like someone tell you my mentor would say, if you're gonna sing like that, go and be a plumber. No disrespect to plumbers, but you need that because people think, oh, my mother said I sound so good. Who cares about that? When you get out there, you got to bring it. You got to put your soul into it, like Leah was saying. I mean, there's gonna be good times and bad times. And the Billie Jean King once said, pressure is a privilege. So you got to embrace that pressure. And there's going to be times on stage you're singing in front of thousands of people, singing the most difficult stuff. I mean, only a few people ever can even attempt to sing. It's Olympic style material. And
so your tennis training, you felt prepared you well for your music career?
NightWatchman, we got a little bit of freeze here. You know what?
Wait for it. He's coming back.
He's got. Well, if not, Brandie, you know I'm coming to you now.
I'm here.
All right.
So Brandie, due to your role as an ambassador, spreading the love and joy of this music to our people, so that they better understand, and also, some young people may say, I want to do that.
That thought is what has kept me going, because there have been several times where I've wanted to throw in the towel, but I always see, other sopranos or any other voice student from my school specifically that have come to me and say, you're such an inspiration, keep doing what you do, and asking me for advice. And it's like, I can't stop. Too many people are depending on me. And not only that, but I'm depending on myself to realize a dream. I'm actually working on a solo show right now with Joseph Joubert and Richard J. Alexander as my director. And just trying to create an opportunity for myself to not only be an ambassador, but a pioneer. And so I'm doing some things where I'm remixing some opera arias. So it's not just going to be opera arias. There's going to be some opera. It's similar almost to the show of the Three Mo Tenors, but it's just me, Three Mo me. And I'm gonna do some opera arias, but remix them, Brandie style, and Joseph Joubert style, because he's amazing. He just he's also the MD for the oh God, what's the word I want to say? The reopening of The Wiz on Broadway. He's orchestrating that. But he's worked with so many amazing artists. Same with Richard Alexander. He's worked with Barbara Streisand, Deborah Cox. Wow. So I'm trying to put something together so I can create an opportunity for myself to be able to sing what I want to sing and when I want to sing. And so that way, people who are trying to sing don't feel like they have to get stuck in that. I need to go to, grad school and then a young artist program and then get an agent and then get with these opera companies, because sometimes these opera companies hire the same people over and over.
Yes.
And they don't have and there aren't opportunities for those who are coming up who are trying to get work, because there's so many people out there trying to get work. Right. And you have to be able to be creative to create your own platform. So you don't have to sit and wait for someone to tell you when you can use your voice.
Gotcha.
So that's
and Brandie, and tell me, is this an opera or musical thing? Tell me what a mid-weight soprano is.
I don't know.
I looked at it because apparently this was a review in the New York Times, sumptuous mid-weight soprano. Like what? Okay.
Your guess is as good as mine. These critics, they say what they say, but I mean, I guess it's not what people have often said about my voice is that it's small. but because I'm Black, I have a little bit more color.
Some texture in there.
Yes, there you go. So there's sometimes like we don't know what to say. We don't know what to call her. It's not a huge voice, but it's not a small voice because there's color in it. You know, there's depth to it. So I guess that could be midway.
Got you. So having said that, Joseph, are you a midweight tenor?
Well, not quite a tenor. I don't know if anybody would pay to hear me sing any tenor roles. Maybe a midweight baritone, bass baritone kind of thing. I don't know. You'll have to ask my teacher and coaches for that information. That's funny.
And certainly, one of the things I have to say, especially here in Harlem, right? So you heard about the let's say the thing in terms of taking on the role of being an ambassador. So do you see yourself also having that role in your position?
Yeah, I mean, much like, my wonderful colleagues, I could do, I'm graced to call y'all colleagues, but much like everybody has said, even if you're not trying to be an ambassador, you are because, the numbers and because of what it says, just the fact that we get paid to sing a largely European art form.
Yeah.
So there's sort of, in my mind, that fact that is when I walk into a room, when anybody on this call walks into a room, we are not expected necessarily to be in that room, and that room hasn't necessarily been prepared for us.
Yes.
But that's all right. That's sort of the story of African Americans in America. What I love young people, and at Juilliard, I've been able to be a teaching fellow with the music advancement program for 2 years, and that program is it's an after school sort of Saturday program that's free. And you got people coming in from New Jersey, Connecticut, but a lot of these students are students of color. And what I get excited about is being able to work with students of color who are excited to learn about this art form, and to see how far they can take it. I'm an ambassador, and I don't take that lightly, and I'm very grateful to even be on in that conversation. But what I want to do is try to work with people who are younger than me, because I've had so many influential mentors that I've looked up to as ambassadors and as people who have shown me the ropes, that I want to do my best to try to pay that forward.
Beautiful.
So that's really what I'm concerned with.
Excellent. So, Night Watchman, we're going to do a little lightning round. So, because I want to know where these folks are going to be. I mean, Leah, we know, and of course, Victor are going to be an X, but we got to find out. So, Leah, take it and tell us the upcoming, what you got going on.
Okay, so Malcolm X at the Met opens next Friday, November 3rd, runs until December 2nd. After that, I go do Malcolm X at Seattle Opera again. I reprise my role there. I do that. That opens at the end of February into March. And then from there, I go to Amsterdam to Dutch National Opera to do Puccini. I move out of English into some Italian. Il Tabarro. After that.
Very nice. Very nice. Oh my God. Yes. So we don't have Victor back here yet. So you know what? Brandie, what you got going on?
Oh man. Right now I'm on a little bit of a hiatus, which is much needed.
No, you're never on a hiatus because you have a young son. So I know you're always working, but go ahead.
That part. But I also, it's good because I'm working on the show, so I have opportunities to really get a bunch of rehearsal sessions in with Joseph Joubert, and I actually am getting ready to do the Tales of Hoffman with Palm Beach Opera singing all 4 heroines, which is rarely done. Usually
Wow.
they get a different soprano to sing all 4.
Mhm.
But I'm going to sing all 4. So I'm so
Congrats.
excited about that. That will be March 1st and March 3rd at Palm Beach Opera. And
Beautiful.
before that, I will be with American Symphony Orchestra in December at Riverside Church here in
All right.
Yeah, nice. We'll
December
come through.
14th. Awesome.
All right.
I'll be singing in the oratorio Judas Maccabeus.
Ooh.
All right.
NightWatchman. All right. So
All right. And
Joseph.
Yeah, definitely. So this Sunday, if we got any people who might be out in Long Island, I'm doing a recital at Port Washington Library, but we'll see. On November 5th, I'm going to be in Baltimore singing soloing in a Brahma.
Hometown, baby. Return. The product is done.
Hometown, yes, indeed. I don't know about all that, but we'll see. On December 2nd, I'll be doing a solo recital down at Baruch College here in the city. And then on the 20th, I'll be soloing in Messiah, December 20th, in Messiah, Carnegie Hall. So I'm really excited for that. Those are a few things that I'm really looking forward to.
Excellent. Congrats. NightWatchman.
So Victor had to leave us early, but people who want to contact Victor, there's his email address, victorofthefury@gmail.com. We want to thank all of you for sharing your expertise, knowledge, passions, and experience with us, and with sharing it to the world. Yes. We're excited by the work you're doing, and we're even more excited at the work you're probably going to do from here. Yes. So you've been listening to Soul Lounge Primetime on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem, also live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. And you can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, iHeartMusic, Apple Music. Ask Siri, ask Alexa, ask anybody. You can find us on Monday nights. So please check us out. Thanks for coming, and come back next week when we have an even more exciting show that we can't even tell you about because we haven't figured it out. Actually, we do know. Next week, we're going to be talking about voting. So, on that note, we're out of here.
Got it. You guys have been great. You will be invited back to the cookout.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I like ribs. Just so
Take care, y'all.
All right.